Hi there. This is probably one of the. This is probably one of the first times I've been streaming in a while, and this is probably like the first time I've done this. Well, this is the first time I've done alternative history slash future in a few months. So here we go. So this assumes. So let's just. Okay, let's just get to it. So World War One begins when. Why is Austria connected to Switzerland? It's because my tolerance is that high. Okay, so World War One begins when Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia because their Archduke was assassinated. So Russia supports Serbia, Germany supports Austria-Hungary, and France supports Russia. So suddenly we're in the middle of this massive conflict. So Germany decides to invade neutral Belgium and Luxembourg, which then drags Britain into the war. So yeah, let's just start here. So basically, Germany, that's too small. Within a few days, Germany takes Luxembourg and begins to push into Belgium. So I'm just gonna follow roughly what happens historically until the chat makes a suggestion. So essentially something kind of like this happens, where Germany would almost take Paris, but then they get pushed. Wrong color. But then they get pushed. But then the Entente pushes them back to about here. So, anyways. So Russia starts an offensive into here, but then that just fails, and Germany begins pushing into Poland. So yeah, and also the Baltics too. My public speaking skills are terrible at this point. So yeah. Yeah. So the Austro-Hungarians struggle against the Serbs, so let's just, yeah. By the end of 1914, most of Poland had fallen. Well, actually, that's 1915, but still. There is another front of the... I forgot to give France Corsica, so let's go ahead and do that. And, yeah. Italy joins the conflict, so... So yeah, they want, these territories, generally. So they begin an offensive that doesn't really go anywhere. Then the Austrians push them. So then the Austrians begin to push them back, and then the front just kind of becomes, and then the Italian front kind of becomes a stalemate. Oh yeah, and I forgot somebody. the Ottomans. And yeah, I forgot to add the colonies. Yeah, this is kind of rushed, but yeah, like, these are all the colonies that matter. Oh, well, Germany's colonies here. I think that's one of their colonies too. This plus Bougainville. Those are most of their colonies. There are some in China. Oh yeah, and Russia, Japan. Japan enters the war, but on the side of the Entente. Oh yeah, and they have Taiwan. Oh yeah, Germany also has Cameroon. So yeah, that's essentially all of, oh, but if we're adding those colonies, then I might as well just finish. It'd be these. And plus the Belgian Congo. That's French. I don't know what Ghana belongs to. That's Morocco. Persia's kind of neutral, but they will have some limited involvement in the conflict. So yeah, that's essentially all the important colonies done. But the Russians are going. So the Russians also began an offensive into the Ottoman Empire. This was, but yeah, like, we're already in 1915, which just shows how basically nothing happened in 1914. What about Bulgaria? Bulgaria isn't gonna enter the war yet. What just happened to my screen? Oh yeah, Montenegro should also be in the Entente, technically. Wait. Bulgaria entered towards the end of 1915. So yeah, right about now, Bulgaria enters the war, and, like, so, and oddly, Bulgaria would kind of save the Central Powers, like, quote-unquote, save them. So Bulgaria begins an offensive into Serbia. I don't want that. Get rid of that. And, yeah. Like, Tsar Ferdinand Tsar Ferdinand of Bulgaria is, like, well, yeah, he was pro-Central Power. Ignore what I just said there. But yeah, like, Bulgaria was one of the most strategic allies of Germany, even more than the Austro-Hungarians and the Ottomans combined. Like, actually. Oh, Britain also controls Cyprus, so at that, and they control Malta, so oh yeah, Italy owns Eritrea and Somalia, and Britain owns Somaliland, and France owns Djibouti. Ethiopia is looking really scared right now. They're surrounded on all sides by the Entente. A lot of nations. Now, actually, they're one of the few nations surrounded on all sides by the Entente. And, of course, now it's time for Britain to launch their offensive into Iraq. The chat's not moving fast enough. So yeah, this one army is the army meant to take Baghdad, but they don't take Baghdad and get besieged in the town of Kut. So that failed. But wait, it actually gets worse because because the army that got besieged in the town of Kut wasn't even like, okay, for some reason this army somehow survives. Like, what? Okay, like, we haven't diverged from our timeline enough. So, let's say Afghanistan, of all nations, joins the Central Powers, or at least declares war on Britain. Oh, great, I have another colony to add. You're French. That's a French colony. Yeah, Indochina is a French colony. So, Afghanistan, like, I doubt Afghanistan would ever do this, but let's just say it does. So, it made, like, a small offensive, and then, immediately get obliterated. Well, I mean, not, like, completely obliterated. There would be a bit of pushback. Heck, especially, like, here. Well, that's mountain. All Britain really has to do is take Kabul, and then that's like, I mean, Afghanistan is other major cities, but, yeah. But it is Afghanistan we're talking about, so yeah, the British would eventually be repelled from the area. Like, very gradually, it would distract Britain away from, fronts like, let's say, the Ottomans, who might have been able to, push the British back at least a little bit. At least, like, to here. Oh, yeah, and, well, Britain didn't invade that area. Britain didn't invade the Levant until 1917, so, yeah. So we're already in 1916. This war goes fast because there's not much to cover. So, as Russia falls into more chaos, the Germans are able to push farther into Russia. Oh yeah, I did kind of forget about the Brusilov and Kerensky offensive. Well, the Brusilov offensive, yeah. I forgot about that, but that barely made a difference anyway. Like, Austria lost a bit of territory to the Russians compared to the Russians losing a ton of territory to the Germans. So yeah, like, it's a never-ending cycle. The more the Germans push into Russia, the more unstable Russia gets, and the more unstable Russia gets, the faster Germany is allowed to push into Russia. So eventually, the Tsar Nicholas II is forced to abdicate, and the provisional government takes over, which actually doesn't want to end the war. Instead, they launch an offensive. Oh yeah, and Romania joins the war, and gets pounded by the Bulgarians, like, all the way to here, I think. And yeah, like, Bulgaria might use this as a way to undermine Russia over here, but I don't think that didn't even happen in our timeline. So essentially, like, yeah, that's like the current front line, and also finally the Ottomans are able to do something. They they push the Russians out of their territory, so that's great. And now they start to push the Russians back. So how's the war in Afghanistan going? Well, I would say, like, not much would go on. Like, oh, well, Afghanistan might penetrate into Russia. Otherwise, no. Not at all. Like, not really. I don't think they would do that. But maybe. Oh yeah, and Australia's in the war too. Oh, I keep forgetting places. Also, we haven't checked in on the colonies. So basically, New Guinea has fallen. Yeah, German New Guinea has completely fallen. Togo has as well, and Cameroon is struggling. Yeah, Cameroon, Tanzania, and like most other German colonies are struggling. And Namibia is almost entirely capitulated. So, Portugal. They're another country that might not affect the entire course of the war, but yeah, Portugal around this time would join the Entente, which indirectly also drags their colonies into the war. Also, I think that's Portuguese. Also, I forgot those are British. France and Portugal also own like a few minor port cities here. Sierra Leone is French, and yeah, there you go. That's definitely going to affect how the war goes in Africa, at least. A new offensive is launched there, and yeah, that's essentially eventually like all of Germany's African colonies have fallen. So yeah, it's around 1917, so now the Entente has another ally, Greece, because of a national schism. Anyway, does anyone have any suggestions for what I should change? I'll wait here until somebody sends a message in chat because we need activity. Oh yes, San Marino and Monaco were in the Entente. Yeah, that's a weird technicality, but yeah, they were. They're the most random nations to ever join the Entente, but they did. Oh yeah, and I forgot about the friendly invasion of Albania that happened in like 1916. So Austria. So yeah, there you go. We add Sweden into the Entente. Sure. I'm gonna hide my screen. Is that realistic? Because I do kind of want to keep this realistic, but generally, sure. Sweden during World War I. So Sweden actually had pro-German sentiments. So I might actually add them into the Central Powers instead, especially their nobility. The Swedish nobility was very pro-Central Powers. Or maybe not very, but yeah, they were pro-Germany. So let's just say they side. Let's just say they side with the Germans, and they began an invasion of Finland. So yeah, the provisional. Oh yeah, we're in 1917. So you know what time it is. America. Okay. Should America get involved? This is... So, America only got involved because Germany restarted unrestricted submarine warfare. This kind of, like, decided the entire course of the war. So, like, should America join or should America not join? Or should America join on the Entente, the Central Powers, or not join? For realism purposes, they're not going to join the Central Powers. They're definitely more of an Entente aligned nation. Also, you know how China joined the Entente? Yeah, I think China joined the Entente, but... Oh, yeah. Let's just say China joins the Entente, even though this likely wouldn't have changed the war, really. It just gives the more... It just gives the Entente... It just... I mean, it gives them the support of the most populous nation in the world. Okay, not join. Okay, that's great. Oh, actually, I'll make a poll. I'll make a poll. Okay, so yeah, no is leading, but we only have one vote, so. Oh yeah, so, did the poll even appear for people? Huh, I guess the poll just isn't appearing for people, I guess. I mean, for some people. See, I'll end the poll. Let's say America does not join World War I. Which is going to affect the entire rest of how this goes. We're gonna get into Kaiserreich territory with this. I've been doing this for 25 minutes. That's surely something to that's surely something to note. Okay, so oh yeah, and since it's 1917, the Germans well, you know what it's time for? It's time for the Russian Revolution. So I'm actually going to represent this with orange, because red is already taken by the Central Powers, of course. So, yeah. The October also I think would fit, because the revolution begins in October. So gradually, so like very gradually, well,
Hey Gabriel.
Siri. Okay, so yeah. But yeah, they would, like, take over most of the area. So Russia's just going to be so the USSR is going to be represented with an orange color, and the whites, and the white/provisional government are actually, they're just going to be represented with the regular Entente color of white. I mean blue. So there's like, it's not exactly an even split like this, but yeah, it's kind of like that. Are those the islands in Alaska? And yeah, that's essentially what it looks like, except for Finland, which actually isn't Russian at this point. So just remember that. Finland should technically be independent, so oh, actually, let's do another poll. Sort of poll, should Finland be independent? So yeah, vote in this poll so I can see feedback. Oh, I'll wait until there's like multiple votes. In the meantime, I'm gonna get a map, just in case Finland does vote for it. Just in case Finland does become independent. So, yeah. Let's go with this map. Oh, I can hear myself. Oh, great, I can hear myself. Okay, so I guess if only one person is voting, yeah, I'm gonna end the poll. Holy? Yeah, at least we have a quarter turnout. Which... okay. I'm going to go with, like, 2... Hold on, I can, like, just draw a line or something. Oh yeah, 1's a bit better. I'm just gonna, see, yeah, I'm just tracing a border. Feel free to chat while I finish this. So yeah, like, Finland might actually join the Central Powers, though. It might not, Also, I did kind of forget about, Sweden's... Well, actually, no, because that just started at this point, so... no, but I'm tracing a country, so yeah. I gotta redo it because the hardness. I can, like, keep it at that, I suppose. And there you go. Oh. And there you go. Finland, a Finland that is now in the Central Powers. That's gonna deal a blow to Russia. So the Germans began... Oh yeah, so basically the Russians, like, don't really want to continue the war, but they don't want to peace out with the Germans either. Well, they don't want to give up territory is what I mean. So, in order to force... So, basically, well, it wasn't really in order to force their hand, but to kind of, like... Well, I mean, peace was denied, so... Yeah. That's, like, the best way I can... Like, well, no. Germany kind of just wants to take as much territory as possible from the Russians before they... No, I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, like, Germany just really wants the Russians to surrender so they can focus their efforts onto the Eastern Front. Oh yeah, and Greece as well. So... Also, they finally dealt with the rest of Romania. So that's great. I think I did go a bit farther into Ukraine than, like, but yeah. Russia eventually surrenders, and yeah, you can probably see what's gonna happen. I German puppet states World War One. Okay, yeah. Is that the map? Okay, hold on. What map are we using? What map does this use? Oh, this uses Winkle Triple. This uses Winkle Triple, so. So I'm gonna, like, attempt to draw these borders, even though I'm going to fail horribly. There are, like, a ton of other factions in the Russian Civil War, but I am not going to show all of them, but just for simplicity purposes. It's because I do not have the time to deal with, like, drawing all of these, like, individual countries. So, oh, I meant this. Okay, so, yeah. Let's just draw the border at, like, essentially where the Germans stopped. I'm just gonna put that below. So, like, the treaty is kind of meant to be harsh because, you know, like, Germany's winning the war and everything. And there's also, like, this puppet in Lithuania called Oberost. And then the cherries on top are Ukraine and Belarus. Those are the two big ones that. So yeah. Um, so yeah, like, this is. I mean, I am gonna try to maintain some level of realism while doing this, but if any events are unrealistic, I don't really care. Huh. So yeah, like, I just, so yeah, like, most of. I mean, they do get a bit of that back. So yeah, Germany now has a ton of puppet states. Oh yeah, and there is like one other thing. Romania should also get Moldova as part of it. But I mean, I'm actually not gonna do a poll on Moldova one because they probably would have done this. So Romania gets like Moldova for. I mean, but of course, to balance that out, they are going to have to lose some territory. Because, you win some, you lose some. So, yeah, they have to cede this territory to Bulgaria. And also, they get a bit of land from Serbia. So, that's great. And also, like, so yeah. Bulgaria also gets a bit of land from Serbia. Which makes the Serbians, it does make the Serbians, like, really mad. So, yeah. There you go. That's like, that's excuse me on my bad math, 3/4 of an hour wasted on World War One. There you go. So now it's like the beginning of 1918. So, yeah, the Soviets are gonna make a bit of gains. Like, yeah. So the Soviets begin to make gains here and there. Like, no one really cares about up here, so of course it's gonna fall to I might also make some gains in Central Asia, so yeah, that's most of World War One summed up right there. Anyways, right before Germany gets to launch their spring offensive, we have to deal with the most boring front of the war. Greece. So I'm gonna try to, well, it's actually not that boring. So yeah, but it is another one where Bulgaria carries where Bulgaria and Germany carry the Central Powers, as they already have been doing. So yeah, Bulgaria takes all that falls. That's like Salonika, where the main Entente base is in Greece. So, like, you don't really need to push past here. Like, oh yeah, Thessaloniki is also in there, so that's like the main city that isn't Athens, and they're not gonna need to take Athens. So, yeah, Greece surrenders. And yeah, that. Also, I kind of haven't been focusing on the Ottomans. So, like, by now, the Ottomans look. This is about the. This is about where the Ottomans are at this point. I mean, the British are. Also, yeah, there was a war in Gaza. This isn't controversial, I promise. Basically, Britain made the Balfour Declaration, so Jews promising Jewish people a home in what was once the Holy Land. So yeah, Israel is now. Also, yeah, Arabia is another thing too. There was an Arab revolt, which I'm not gonna show on the map, but well, I am. I'm gonna make it dark green. Yeah, I'm gonna make it green because Arabia and generally Muslimism are associated with the color green. Well, I mean, in my opinion, this is my opinion, but Christianity is gold, Muslim is green, and Judaism is blue. But you can, I'm open to other opinions on the topic. So yeah, that's the Arab Revolt. So the Ottomans are collapsing, so it's kind of so the Central Powers need to break the European front now. So Germany begins preparing their grand offensive. Just ignore what's happening in Afghanistan because nothing's going to be happening in Afghanistan. So in the meantime, there's a few other front. The only other front of the war is in Italy, and the Austrians make a bit of gains, just a little. I think, like, it's enough to demoralize the Italians a little bit, and the Austrians start to make very slow progress. So this is by mid 1918. So Germany begins preparing their spring offensive, and yeah, they're gonna launch it in spring of 1919. So we will patiently wait for that to happen. In the meantime, here's some other fronts. So because the Central Powers can't really supply Afghanistan was pushed back, especially with the help of China, because China actually was quite a good help in Afghanistan because they're the only power that really wants to invade them. Except the British. They kind of also. But Russia's embroiled in a civil war, so they don't really want to invade Afghanistan. So technically, the whites are now at peace with Germany, but they're still at war with the Ottomans, technically. So, yeah. The whites eventually peace out. So I will be changing their color. So yeah, I'm gonna change their color to, I don't know, like gray. And they are the white army, so yeah, I'm gonna make that their color. So the white army is now the white army, like. Okay. So now, it's time to draft a peace treaty between the Ottomans and Russia. The Ottomans get a bit of this land. And that's literally it. They just get a small chunk of land. Because that's essentially all that they wanted. Like, they had nothing really to gain. They have nothing to gain from continuing the invasion. except for maybe that oil in the Caucasus. But they already have oil in Mesopotamia. So yeah, a peace settlement is reached between the Ottomans and the Russians, more specifically the Whites. The Bolshevik, the Russians do not accept this peace because they were literally never invited because the Ottomans don't recognize them as a country. So the Whites do send a bit of forces to go fight in Afghanistan. At least a little bit. Especially because they are getting pushed back on many fronts. So yeah, not a lot. But yeah, not a lot of men are sent, and they don't make that much progress, but it is something. Okay, so, here we go. Spring offensive time. Well, actually, not yet. The Arab revolt has to progress a little bit. A little more progress against the Ottomans has to be made, and that's essentially going to be it before the final showdown. Germany, not yet. So yeah, the British continue to push into the Ottoman Empire, and it's kind of Britain's only way of winning the war in some form. The Ottomans have been pushed back, their empire collapsing. So it's now or never. So oddly, Germany taking Paris would benefit the Ottomans. So, all or nothing. The final showdown. Germany versus the Entente. The final showdown between the Central Powers and the Entente. Hold on, I actually gotta give Germany a bit of territory. 3, 2, 1. Go. So, the Germans immediately push the Entente back, and yeah, and they just took Paris. So yeah, they literally just took Paris. So France's government collapses. All of Belgium capitulates. So Germany is de facto won the war by this point. But they do have to, get rid of the provisional government for good. So French soldiers are already mutinying, and the mutiny just accelerates exponentially with this offensive. So the capital had actually already been moved to Bordeaux, and Germany is not taking Bordeaux. So they just take most of Brittany and yeah. So the French people have had enough and engage in open rebellion in the capital. So the capital is moved to somewhere else, probably like Marseille. So yeah, like there's like I think Lyon is around here. Like just generally everywhere. I think there's a major city here. I think that's Avignon. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know French cities that well. I know that I know like their general location on a map. So, so yeah. The insurgencies in France began to. The insurgencies in France amount to an entire revolution. So, so with this, the British have been distracted enough, and Spain kind of wants to join the war, but they don't because they don't have much to gain from joining the war except for fighting the insurgencies in France and beating Portugal, which they don't really have a reason to do. So So yeah, the Austrians penetrate a bit farther into Italy, and Italy remains resilient. No, I mean Italy remains persistent, not resilient. But yeah, now there are uprisings in Italy too. King Victor Emmanuel of Italy is like not. So yeah, King Victor Emmanuel of Italy is kind of I don't know. Uh, the new white arm so the other white armies, not to be confused with the white army in Russia, just the anti-insurgents, as I'm gonna call them, do push them back like quite a bit. But this doesn't last as soldiers mutiny even more. So France actually sues for peace with the Germans. So like so so Germany gets a bit of land. That's not like that much, but I mean Germany gets a bit more land from France, so that's I mean, but don't they always? So this essentially This essentially means, yeah, Germany has won the First World War. German troops were to withdraw from France, but at least, in like at least most. So this is a major victory. This is a major victory for the French provisional government, which now finally has which now finally controls the rest of France again. So, seeing what's happening, Mussolini and his National Fascist Party does a march on Rome. Well, they don't do the march on Rome, but like they do start their own. But yeah, like radicals in. But yeah, like radicals in France, like the nationalists in France and Italy start their own revolt. So so Italy, still somehow not surrendering, is pushed back even farther, and yeah, then Italy surrenders because they um so Austria gets back Venetia. Um, so yeah, with Italy, with Italy and with um so Germany negotiates with Britain the withdrawal of military from their colonies. No, through through uh, through sheer diplomacy. So World War One is still going on. Technically, the war has been ended on two fronts, but we still have yet to find out what's gonna happen to everything that isn't Europe. See you tomorrow. I'm gonna end the stream. I'm hungry. My back hurts. Okay.